Hey, so thought I'd tell you a story because that's what I do, like the stars. Okay. Anyways, so this is a story about when my sister and I were we did some missionary work in Mexico. We used to go to Mexico a lot and with sister stamps and take food and stuff, but we lived in an orphanage for 3 months. So it was like short-term mission trip thing. And then thankfully after that we got to go back a lot and see the kids and stuff. But anyways, this is about a particular thing that happened. When we were there, it's called Colina de Luz. It was in Las Colinas, the hills in La Gloria, which is in Tijuana, in the hills. I think I already said that. Anyways, so back when we were there, the only one of the kids had ever been to the United States. And so there was a church, it was Raul Reese's church in West Covina, was a big supporter of Colina de Luz. And there was some people, I think, from his church or contacts or something that donated a bunch of money and tickets so that all the kids, and that included, like, of course, the staff, and then also they had some of their own people volunteering. I don't know if it included them, but anyways, all the kids got to go to the United States and go to the zoo the very first day we were there, and then the big trip was Disneyland. And so it was so fun. Anyways, so we all boarded a bus and went across the border, and the bus broke down on the side of the highway. And the kids had to get out for some reason until they made sure it was safe, so they were all lined up on the side of the highway. And most of them just found this to be entertaining. And it was a long, hot day, and by the time we got to the zoo, and we had to go through the whole border thing. It was not like we just drove across. It was an ordeal. So, and then the breakdown, by the time we got to the zoo, the kids were exhausted. And the San Diego Zoo has gotten, at that time was nice. It got a lot better, but it was fine. It was a good zoo at the time. And but it didn't really matter when you're exhausted and it's just like a whole bunch of kids that want to take a nap really bad. We had a little bit of fun during that time. Like the orphanage, like it's probably this way still in some places, I don't know. I haven't been to Mexico in a really long time, but when we were there, you didn't flush your toilet paper down the toilet. You put it in the waste basket next to the toilet, otherwise it would just ruin the system. So these lovely children, they were good kids. They were trying to be good, and they didn't know, and we didn't think about telling them, and we were all exhausted too, by the way, to put the toilet, or maybe we told them, I don't know, but they were confused, and they couldn't find a trash can because it's an American bathroom, so they were putting them in little piles on the side, like trying to like be neat and tidy with it. And of course the American people there, white people, would come up to us and tell us how horrible these children were because they were putting their toilet paper on the floor. Wow, judgmental. It does look bad, but that's a lesson in just not jumping to conclusions. And we would try. Some people understood, and some people were just like, it doesn't matter what you say, these are bad kids, because they're bad kids, because they were racist people and probably ageist people. Anyways, so the zoo was a little tough, but we made it through the zoo. And then that night, we all got to go to Chuck E. Cheese. And oh boy, the kids woke up for Chuck E. Cheese. They had a blast. And that was a lot of fun. And then the news found out about this whole ordeal and came to Chuck E. Cheese. And they interviewed a few people, but they found out about Disneyland. So that night, we spent the night in some guy's like giant house, like mansion house. I don't know, it was huge. And he had like this gorgeous porch with a huge like I don't know, cot swing thing. And the kids were obsessed with Never-Ending Story. And it was in Spanish, of course, and somebody brought it with them. So, so I don't know how many times I have seen Never-Ending Story in Spanish. It's, you know how kids are. That one, and another one that they watched all the time was Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. But the VCR we had at the orphanage would also play the movies backwards. So I have seen that movie countless times forward and backwards. It's actually pretty funny backwards. Anyways, so Never-Ending Story, yes, I've seen it in English, seen it a lot in Spanish. And I don't speak a lot of Spanish. I only speak very little. I'm actually, most of the Spanish I know is because the kids taught me, or things I had to learn to take care of them. Anyway, so that was fun. But the next day, Disneyland day. Disneyland. So the kids were, you know, grouped off into little, like, kind of their own age group so that their rides would be similar. And then the volunteers and the staff, like my sister and I, we were given, like, we were supposed to change out so that we could have fun too. So I was given like 7 of the little boys between, like, I don't know, they were like between 6 and 9 years old, maybe, or maybe younger. I think a little bit younger. And then another young lady named Tara, who was actually a friend of mine that also came and volunteered to help, was like my assistant to help me with these boys, thank goodness. And so later on in the day, I was supposed to get a different age group, you know, and then kind of switch off different people. Something happened where everybody else got to do that but me. I didn't get to do that. Things happen. So while we're there, and before we had left, I decided I wanted to wear a Colina de Luz shirt. But I didn't have a Colina de Luz shirt, but I did have a big giant white shirt. And so I went into the, and like I was raised with an artistic family, and there's a lot of, like, I think my dad, yeah, he had a lot of OCD and stuff. So there was a lot of rules. There's a lot of rules, things you just don't do. And one is you don't take house paint and paint a t-shirt, because it's not going to work. But that was all I had. So I was like, I'm painting the shirt with house paint, because it was like in their workshop, and the guy in there is like, yeah, you can use that. So I made a stencil, and I made this like sunshine, and it said Colina de Luz on it, and it was big. And that's what I wore, and which worked out, because while we were on the kids were on the merry-go-round, the news people were looking for us, and they saw my shirt, and they're like, there's a girl with a Christian shirt. There's a bunch of Mexican children. That must be them. And so they followed us over to the Dumbo ride, and there was a girl with us who was supposed to be with us, I guess, from the church, and but she didn't stay with us. She kind of bounced around, and so she had visited, I think, a time or two for like a couple hours here or there at the orphanage, but she had a lot of energy. and I think she really liked those microphones and those cameras. And so they were starting to interview me, and then she just started talking, and so they did the interview with her, which I thought, yeah, interview the lady who doesn't know anything about these children. Okay. But also, my priority was the kids, not the cameras. So even though I didn't mind talking to them, I you know, was still focusing on the kids, whereas she was like, you know, no focus on the kids at all. So that was more convenient for them, so they just interviewed her, and then they went off and found others of our group and talked to them. And so we have little snippets of us from, I think, Chuck E. Cheese and the Disneyland. Like, I think there's me on a Dumbo ride or something. I can't remember. It was kind of fun though, and we got to see it later on. But that's not the story I wanted to tell you, but now I'm out of time. So I'll tell you the really cool story on the next video, okay? I will.